What is meant in Luke 16:8 and 9 by making friends of the mammon of unrighteousness? Brother Klein.
Thank you, Brother McDaniel. Luke 16:8 and 9 reads like this, "And the Lord commended the unjust steward, because he had done wisely. For the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. And I say unto you, make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when ye fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitations." These words were spoken at the conclusion of the Lord's parable of the unjust steward, recorded in Luke 16, verses 1 through 7. The point of the parable is summed up in verse 8, and that is that in some respects, worldly people are wiser about the ways of the world than spiritual people tend to be. This seems particularly so when it comes to the issue of money. When Jesus gives the command, "Make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness," he is referencing mammon, which is believed by many commentators to be a reference to a god of sorts of money. Of course, the ancients worshipped pretty much everything and anything. There were gods for money. There were gods for all kinds of things that one could imagine. Today, we find that money is still something that people seek. It is something that people, in many cases, outright worship. They may not make an animal sacrifice to the god of mammon in the 21st century, but surely they are just as devoted to and worshipful of money as ever before. In the book of Colossians, we find that covetousness is described as idolatry. And certainly that seems to be the idolatry of the modern age. People want more and more money. They want greater and better possessions. Materialism is one of the great downfalls of our modern society. I heard it described this way once by someone who was very wealthy, who was talking to other people who were very wealthy about the dangers of what she called affluenza. Well, I would say that in the United States of America today, there are many of us who suffer from affluenza. We are a people that are rich and affluent on an unprecedented scale. And so as a result, many Christians in this country find it difficult to tackle the problem of covetousness and materialism. Jesus, in instructing his disciples to make to themselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, was telling them that they need to become familiar with how to use money and how to use it to the very best effect. The thing about money is that it's a tool, and like any tool, it may be used for good purposes, and it may also be used for evil purposes. Of course, the Lord wants Christians to use the money and material possessions that they have for good and not for evil. But if we're going to get the most good out of the money and the possessions that God has entrusted to our stewardship, then we need to become wise in how to use those things properly. There is nothing at all wrong with Christians doing what they can to plan for their financial futures, to plan for the giving that they are going to do to their local congregation, perhaps to other causes in the body of Christ that are worthy of and in need of financial support. There are many congregations and individuals that financially support this program, and that is one example of how one can make friends of the mammon of unrighteousness and learn to use money as something that can be an instrument for doing good rather than simply an instrument for doing evil. Remember, money is not said to be evil in the Scriptures, but the love of money is the root of all evil, according to 1 Timothy 6 and verse 10. I hope this answer has been helpful. Thank you for the question.